In our number 10 spot, we have Ramen Manuel. Chicago Mayor Ramen Manuel may be a shapeshifter reptile. I'll let you decide. In September 2012, during a press conference, viewers noticed that his eyes seemed to transform into, well, I'm not quite sure I know how to describe this because it's terrifying. Around his eyes, we see darkness of some sort, and suddenly his actual eyes become enlarged. Honestly, whatever happened wasn't human. Did he reveal himself as a shapeshifter reptile? I'm thinking yes. If you're enjoying this video so far, smash that like button as it'll really help us out. In our number 9 spot, we have Katy Perry. Okay, this is some crazy footage, y'all. I have obviously heard of the theory that celebs are really just reptiles, but like, damn. Katy Perry? I love her. I don't want to believe it. You can't make me. Okay, but for real, even if she is a shapeshifter reptilian, is it possible that she's not a bad one? I say yes. Anyways, in this clip we see Katy Perry's eye shift from blue to green and her pupils become slits for a second before she seemingly notices and looks away from the camera. Very sus, Katy. In our number 8 spot, we have US General David Petraeus. On June 15, 2010, the US General David Petraeus appeared to faint during a conference, but at one point though, his face appeared to be, well, not human. The footage of this one does appear to be a tad blurry, but it does seem like something has happened to his face. His face looks like it's, deformed, and the person that was looking at him and talking before he fainted did look a tad scared, but it could have been because he could see something was wrong. So there's that. But also, at one point, somebody stood up and conveniently blocked the camera from seeing him, so that's sus. But honestly, the footage for this one is too blurry for me to say, yeah, probs are reptiles. But the people that filmed it and shared it definitely said that they saw something that day and it did not look human. In our number 7 spot, we have Lady Gaga. Okay, Lady Gaga is an interesting one because there is a video that seemingly shows something going on with her eyes, but also she literally said on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert that she, quote, has always liked to shapeshift. Very sus, Gaga. The viewers of the show thought that it was a very interesting choice of words, and so many thought that there was a bit of truth to what she said, as if the energy around the word held more weight. I don't know. Certainly there are so many people that believe that Lady Gaga has had contact with the devil, and so it would make sense if she was a shapeshifter. Remember that time she suspended something in the air with her magical force field? Okay, but for real, is she a magical devil-like being or a shapeshifter? Would love to know your vote in the comment section below. In our number 6 spot, we have Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle, actress turned literal princess when she married Prince Harry, has had quite some speculation around her over being a robot. Now, I've heard many things, including reptilian, and some people believe something has just, replaced her. But the robot shapeshifter is an interesting theory. It started when a clip went viral over Harry and Meghan wearing masks to promote Madame Tussauds new Harry and Meghan edition. But what made everyone feel the creeps is not just the fact that their facial expressions are unsettling, but also because Meghan is not blinking. Terrifying. Whereas Harry apparently was. Anyways, I think that this got everyone to start theorizing that even though this is a mask, she may actually be a shapeshifter robot, and you know what? I don't blame them. We're probs living in iRobot and don't even know it. In our number 5 spot, we have President Bush. Now, this is a clip of Papa Bush, the 41st president of the US, speaking in an interview, and his eyes seem to change. For those of you who don't live in North America, there is a George Bush Sr. and Jr., and they both became president of the US. Anyways, this clip is of George Sr., aka Papa Bush, and most people are in agreement that he is absolutely a reptilian. I mean, at this point, I'm starting to be convinced that all the politicians are, but who knows? Maybe the whole world is. Maybe I am. Honestly, I wish I could shapeshift. Then I would just shapeshift myself into a passenger that has a ticket to board a flight to Paris and peace out of here. You know what I mean? Anyways, in this clip, his eyes definitely form into slits, and there's no doubt that if this clip is real, and so many say that it is, then, you know, he's definitely not human. In our number 4 spot, we have AILEEN WUORNOS. AILEEN WUORNOS, who is known as an American serial killer, did a number of interviews before she was executed on October 9th, 2002. During a number of her interviews, people claimed to have seen some weird shape-shifting happening. This is a clip of an interview that she did where her eyes appeared to show that infamous reptile slit. You know, there is so many people that believe that sometimes shapeshifters are responsible for some of the worst crimes in the world, and then they just, you know, shapeshift out of prison afterwards after taking over the body of humans. That's definitely an interesting theory. I mean, regardless, clearly AILEEN was evil, so even if she's not a shapeshifter, I'm sure someone could make a case for her being possessed by a demon. In our number 3 spot, we have Reptile Woman. This woman has been dubbed Reptile Woman for pretty obvious reasons. The footage that was taken of this mystery woman surfaced online and was apparently not altered in any way. The footage seems quite normal until it's broken down frame by frame, and suddenly it's as if you see a different person. Her hands look different, her back, her face, and her eyes. It's fascinating. I personally wish the footage was easier to see, as it's not fully convincing me looking at something so blurry. It just makes me feel like it's been altered, but who knows? I may be wrong, and it sure seems like a lot of people believe that it's real. There have been a few people that have tried to debunk it, and truly I think I'm with them on their analysis. This one is too blurry for me to think that it's possibly real, but whatever. It might be. In our number 2 spot, we have M.W. Jeffrey Black Hodgdon. Let's call him Jeff, you know, for short. So Jeff is the Grand Master of the Masons in Massachusetts. Yeah, if you don't know anything about the Masons, then definitely have a Google sesh later tonight. That's a whole other rabbit hole in itself. But yeah, if you know anything about the Masons, then you probably won't be surprised that they are on this list. The Grand Master, the big guy calling the shots, is in this video, and he certainly shows signs of being a shapeshifter. From his eyes suddenly showing slits to his skin apparently showing evidence, there are a lot of people that believe that this guy is a shapeshifter. And in our number 1 spot, we have Britney Spears. Okay, this one I refuse to believe is real, because I love her. God, I do not want to believe it, but the footage certainly makes you think that it's possible that she's a shapeshifter, or that a shapeshifter at some point had taken over her body. That to me would check out more when you think of everything that she has been fighting for recently in terms of her freedom and gaining full control of her body back again. Who knows? Perhaps there is way more to it than we can imagine. I just love her though, so I refuse to believe that she was born a reptile. Anyways, in this shot, her eyes seemingly show slits at times, just like a lot of the other footage that we've shown, and this would point to some kind of reptile living within her. In our number 10 spot, we have the table throwing demon. Okay, here's some crazy footage for you of a possible real life demon. I mean, heck, the Bible has warned us that demons are tricky and they play with us and influence us and make us feel fear. Well, that is seemingly exactly what happens in the video I'm about to show you. Here we have a woman who is sitting in what looks like a banquet hall, and she's on her cell phone when she hears a chair move. She turns around and sees nothing, but then the chair beside her moves and she freaks out and falls on the floor. Then a bunch of chairs and tables begin to move, and you see her get so frightened that she tries to stand up and then she falls on the floor again. She could have fainted too, it's kind of unclear. The footage is so wild, and it's so clear that this woman isn't an actress and that this isn't edited footage. It's too natural, and I mean, if she is, then man, she deserves an Oscar. If you're liking this video, don't forget to give it a like, as it will really help us out.
In our number 9 spot today, we have the Venus Cloud. Last year in September of 2020, astrobiologists everywhere were excited and skeptical of some new potential evidence that had been found in the upper clouds of Venus. Firstly, can we just take a second to really think about how cool of a job an astrobiologist has? Anyway, the new findings were pointing to the potential of the presence of phosphine in the clouds. Phosphine is a rare and usually poisonous gas that on Earth is basically always met with the presence of living organisms. Venus hasn't really been top of the list of choices for finding potential life due to its surface temperature and pressure and the sulfuric acid clouds, but this evidence could prove to say something otherwise. Two separate telescopes were able to pick up the signatures of phosphine in a cloud that had a similar temperature and pressure to Earth, and while this isn't concrete evidence of space bugs, it will at least be a reminder that we should be continuing to look for life even in the most unlikely places. And hey, maybe it is space bugs.
In our number 8 spot, we have the shapeshifters. Guys, I'm a little shocked that the Bible subtly points to shapeshifters. I guess I just assumed that this was a modern day conspiracy theory fueled by the Marvel movies, but no, there is evidence to suggest that shapeshifters have been around and spoken about since before the Bible. Mark said, after these things, he appeared in another form to 2 of them as they were walking into the country. He appeared in another form to 2 of them as they were walking into the country. That's it, they exist. I'm a believer. Also, what's the consensus? Should we just now conclude that Obama's security guard is indeed a shapeshifter? I feel like yes. Who's a believer? Let me know in the comment section below. In our number 7 spot, we have the chair moving demon. Okay, this could be just a ghost or a demon. I mean, who knows? In this clip, you see a girl in perhaps a classroom or a common area as there are computers and lounge chairs, and she seems to be looking at something when suddenly she runs out of the room. Then a few moments later, you see the lounge chair move and the door close. The ghost/demon is having a meeting, so he wanted his privacy, guys. The devil requires privacy. Okay, but seriously, what is this? How is this footage not more mainstream? I'm scared. I hope somebody called a priest after witnessing this footage. This place definitely needs to be cleansed. In fact, we should get the priests of the world to just cleanse the world. We may just need a general world cleansing because clearly the demons are among us, judging by this video. I'm scared. I want my mom. In our number 6 spot, we have the reptile people. Okay guys, we know that there are many references to reptiles in the Bible. I mean, if you don't, then I'm here to tell you that indeed there are. In fact, the Bible starts with Adam and Eve is persuaded by the snake to eat the forbidden fruit. So the stories really begin right away. But there have been evidence of people believing in the reptile people for many centuries, even dating back to ancient Mesopotamia, where they created an artifact called the Ubaid lizard man, which has made people believe that it is possible that they worshipped lizard people, the reptiles. In Revelation 12-9, it is said, quote, "And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him." The serpent was thrown down to earth, eh? Sounds a lot like a reptile person confirmation to me. Now, whether or not they are demons, that is the question. There have been way too many reptile Hollywood sightings to count, so beware, folks. In our number 5 spot, we have the lawless one. In the Bible, 2 Thessalonians 2:9, I might have pronounced that wrong, sorry, it's been a while since I've been to church. Thessalonians 2:9, we are warned about the lawless one who is doing the work of Satan, aka a demon. The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders. Who exactly this message is referring to? I mean, it could be any number of people in history that promised wonders and things that they could not keep. Historical political leaders that may have tricked the masses. I mean, there have been many, from Genghis Khan to presidents in this day and age. So who's to say who this verse is speaking about, but perhaps at this point this benevolent demon has reincarnated many times over, considering the Bible stories are from thousands of years ago. In our number 4 spot, we have the man that couldn't speak. Demons are spoken about so much in the Bible, and on many accounts, stories are told where it is believed that people have come across these demons. Mark speaks about a demon that made someone's son unable to speak. This demon caused its victim to have epileptic-like seizures, in which he was at times thrown down to wallow on the ground and made to foam at the mouth. No one was able to get rid of this demon but Jesus, after saying to the spirit, "Deaf and dumb spirit, I command you, come out of him and enter him no more. This has led a lot of people over the thousands of years to believe that mental illness is really just demonic possession. Obviously, we know better now about what mental illness is, but you may be surprised to hear that there are still a lot of people that believe that multiple personality disorder is demonic possession. In our number 3 spot, we have the parking lot demon. Years ago, a news station in Serbia called Channel 4 reported the wildest story. Apparently, a woman was in a parking lot when suddenly something invisible started chasing her, and whatever it was jumped from one lamp post to the other. She was so frightened that she went to the police to report that a maniac was chasing her. The police took a look at the footage and couldn't believe what they saw. It looked to be a transparent human running back and forth. Some believe it to be someone from another universe glitching into ours, but the woman swears that it was chasing her, so some believe that it was a demon. It's so crazy to see, and I read that the Bible warned us about a spirit called Abaddon, whom is the leader of the demons, and honestly, this could very well be proof of one of the Abaddon demons, as this woman was definitely terrorized by something. In our number 2 spot, we have the demon Selfie. This is a picture of a demon and a boy, and it's crazy to see. This pic isn't even blurry, so that makes it more horrifying. Basically, a mom from Pennsylvania named Heather was taking a picture of her son. When she looked at the photo, she saw a mysterious person with black eyes creeping out from behind him. She said that there was no one in sight when she was taking her photo but her son. So that is ridiculously insane. This looks like a demon porcelain doll in my opinion. Oh my gosh, that is just the most terrifying. Imagine if she was home alone with her son. I truly hope not. I would never ever want to be home alone again if this happened to me. In our number 1 spot, we have the Brazilian Demon Man. Yo, this has to be the scariest thing I've ever seen. Okay, maybe not, but it is still terrifying to think that multiple people witnessed this. Okay, so in 2015, many reports were being filed about a strange demon-like wolf man in Brazil. It started popping up everywhere, and then someone managed to review street footage and got it captured in a still shot. Here we have a man who looks like he's part wolf or straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster, to be honest. He has long pointy ears and strange wolf-like legs and appears to have a small tail. The shot is blurry as it's night and pitch black, but if this isn't a demon, then I don't know what is. This is definitely one of the demons that the Bible warned us about. Hey Brazilians, beware.
At number 10, we have Kitsune. Now, this one has also been associated with Gumiho from Korean legends or Hulijing from Chinese legends. It is a creature that appears as a fox with shape-shifting abilities, and it's commonly a trickster. In the Korean legends, a Gumiho can freely transform into many things, but most commonly into beautiful women. These Gumiho in female form then set out to seduce boys and eat either their liver or their heart, depending on the legend. Both Kitsune and Gumiho have also been recorded as far creepier as well. Some have been recorded to be bloodthirsty half-human, half-fox hybrids that lurk in cemeteries. They would wait until night and then dig human hearts out from graves and eat them.
In our number 9 spot, we have Nancy Pelosi. If you are someone living outside of America, then you may not know who this woman is. Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. She's seemingly one of these politicians that you either love or hate, and the people that lean more on the hate side might also lean into this news a little too. Nancy could be a shapeshifter. Yep, a lot of people speculate over this as footage surfaced online showing her right eye doing something crazy when she was talking once. Something that is legit impossible. She's speaking and then all of a sudden it's like her eye rolls back and it becomes fully white with like a black dot slash slit in the middle, and then her real eye returns. It's very strange. This lasts for at least 1.5 seconds, enough that it's very, very noticeable. I don't know, man. If she's not a reptile, then she's gotta be something else, cause this is not human what I just saw. These videos are making me question everyone now. Every so often I have a moment and think, what if everyone is a reptile and I'm amongst the few humans left? And what if their goal is to depopulate us and to continue to grow and populate themselves? It's a very trippy thought.
At number 8, we have a lycanthrope, aka werewolf. Lycanthrope?
You tell me. But let's just say I'm not talking about the big bad wolf. But let's be real, he had a pretty convincing moment as the grandmother, and that is he a shapeshifter? But let's be real, I'm talking about werewolves. While they are not fully pretending to be human, they come up often enough and it would be wrong not to include them on this list. Werewolves are frequently depicted in folklore and often come up as creatures that wreak havoc on the natural world. They are seen as creatures unable to stop themselves from transforming into a bloodthirsty wolvish beast. They got this curse in some lore as a punishment from God, a kind of divine smite against those who provoked their wrath. Other ways of becoming a werewolf or shape-shifting was by wearing an animal skin or drinking water out of the footprint of an animal. Just a little sip and then boom, wolf. I kind of want to try it. Maybe. On to number 7, a selkie. When you think of a water-sea-human hybrid, a mermaid might be what comes to your mind. But they are permanently caught in between. They have a human top half and a fishy lower half, but selkies, on the other hand, they can truly roam the land and sea. Selkies are commonly found in Northern European mythology. Their main form is the seal form, and in order to shapeshift into human form, they need to shed their seal skin. Now, this is risky for selkies because it is rumored that they need their own original seal skin to return to their seal form. But once they're in human form, they have also been known to lure humans into the sea. They seduce people and create illusions to form a false sense of reality, leading the humans into their death out in the sea. At number 6, Encantado. Now this legend comes from the Amazon. The Encantado are said to be a water cryptid that lives in the Amazon River. Most of the time they are a pink river dolphin, but once a year they come out of the river. They shapeshift into a young man in white clothes for a Brazilian celebration in June. The one thing that doesn't change in their form is the blowhole from the dolphin form, so the Encantado have to wear a hat to keep their disguise intact. Allegedly, it is dangerous to see or be near the Encantado at these festivals. This is because they attend the parties in order to seduce, kidnap, or impregnate young women. Just like other stories like these are thought to be a way to convince young women not to trust handsome strangers because they may just be a pink dolphin in disguise. Encantado, a pink dolphin in disguise. On to number 5, Rakshasa. The Rakshasa is a humanoid being in Hindu mythology. It was also later incorporated into Buddhism. Now, the Rakshasa were created by the breath of Brahma, the creator god in Hinduism, when he was asleep. They apparently were so bloodthirsty they started eating Brahma himself. So Vishnu came to his aid and banished the Rakshasa to earth. They were most often depicted as ugly, fierce-looking, and enormous creatures. They were shown with 2 fangs protruding upwards and having sharp, claw-like fingernails. They are mean, growl like beasts, and have an insatiable desire to eat man, all of the way to the point that they can even smell the scent of human flesh. Some of the more ferocious Rakshasa were shown with flaming red eyes and hair, drinking blood with their palms or from a human skull. Most Rakshasa had magical powers of illusion called Maya, which enabled them to change size at will and assume the form of any creature. Using this, they could disguise themselves as a human. At number 4, the Napura bee. The Napura bee is a ghost that looks human but has no face. They can often feign having human facial features, but can wipe them off like wiping off a chalkboard. An old tale about them, called the Napura bee in the koi pond, goes like this. A lazy fisherman decided to fish in the imperial koi ponds near the Heian-Kaio Palace. Despite being warned by his wife about the pond being sacred and near a graveyard, the fisherman went anyways. On his way to the pond, he is warned by another fisherman not to go there, but he again ignores the warning. Once he's at the spot, he is met by a beautiful young woman who pleads with him not to fish in the pond. He then ignores her and, to his horror, she wipes off her face. Rushing home to hide, he is confronted by what seems to be his wife, who then chastises him for his wickedness before wiping off her facial features as well. Just full on like, Cause like just imagine you're chatting someone up and they give you just one of these and just is going like, but like the face is gone. But on to number 3. Ghoul. The ghoul from Arabic folklore is said to lurk around uninhabited places like cemeteries. It lures people to deserted locations or abandoned places to kill and devour them. It is said to prey on young children, drink blood, steal coins, and eat the dead as well. This may be why the lore says they lurk around cemeteries, since they're trying to eat the dead. Now, after eating their prey, they are said to take on the form of the person they most recently ate. Other tales of the ghoul say it dwells in the desert and can assume the guise of a hyena. Using this form, it is said to lure people into the desert wastes. In the vampire book, The Encyclopedia of the Undead, a ghoul is said to roam throughout the wilderness of Afghanistan and Iran. Number 2. Doppelganger. So there are also superstitions that claim the doppelganger is a non-human entity which can alter its physical appearance to literally become someone else and take their place. Obviously, they are not human beings, but they look just like the person they are trying to mimic. In old lore, it was said that the doppelganger consumed the original person once they looked the exact same and met them. The stories of doppelgangers were used to explain early and misunderstood cases of Alzheimer's. Also, they were used as an answer to severe depression or violent thoughts of mothers. The latter was being used as a justification since it was believed that no mother could ever hurt her own child unless she wasn't truly the mother, just someone else entirely. All in all, the thought of someone in your life being replaced by an entity which only pretends to know you and care about you is pretty creepy. And last but not least, at number 1, the devil. So the devil and demons have believed the best way to get humans to sin is to be among their ranks. Essentially, peer pressure. So to do this, devils and demons will assume human form. They can either possess a human or disguise themselves as one. Old folklore says they could easily be spotted, and they often forgot to hide some of their more prominent features. Features like horns on their head or forked tongues. The devil himself apparently forgot to hide his hooved feet quite a bit. Now once devils and demons are found out, they usually disappear, but not always. If the human target doesn't renounce them but instead chooses to make a deal, there could be consequences.
Coming up at our number 10 spot, we have Chelsea Handler. Comedian Chelsea Handler has been accused of being a shapeshifter, and it's all because of footage that showed up online showcasing her in an interview, and when you zoom in close to her eyes, they appear for a moment to look like they turn into slits. This probably won't be surprising for you to hear if you watched parts 1 or 2 of the series, because it seems that almost all celebs could be reptiles. I don't know. She can be pretty funny, perhaps otherworldly funny. If you're liking this video so far, would you give it a like, as it really helps us out?
At number 9, we have La Cegua. Now this one comes from a Costa Rican legend, and it originated as a device to scare men into being loyal and stay close to home at night. Men would be charmed by La Cegua's beauty as they wander home. She would appear out of a fog with porcelain skin, long black hair, and big dark eyes. Men would just forget about their wives and ask if she needed to be escorted home. They would turn again to look at her beauty, and she had changed. Once they finished their offer, La Cegua would be completely transformed. They would look, and she would have turned from beauty to a nightmare, appearing as a monster with a horse's head. She would have flaming red eyes and big yellow teeth. She was rumored to make men go insane, and sometimes didn't let them leave with their life.
In our number 8 spot, we have Rihanna. No, not Riri. I don't want to believe it. My Disney princess inner essence wants to believe in the good, and Rihanna is one of the good ones. She's not a shape-shifting reptile. But wait, actually, maybe being a reptile isn't a bad thing. Maybe there are good reptiles. Okay, all jokes aside, there is some sus footage of Rihanna out there that could have you convinced that she is possibly one of them, and just shape-shifting to look like her beautiful self. In this footage, we once again see the transformation in her eyes like we have in quite a few other people's, but the thing is, the footage is rather blurry, so it's kinda hard to say that she fits in within this group. I'm gonna say she doesn't and just move on to the next one. That's my bias, because I like her. In our number 7 spot, we have a mysterious creature. Okay, this footage kinda makes me laugh because on one hand, it looks like someone dressed up in a costume playing a practical joke. But on the other hand, if it's real, then this is crazy. That is an alien-looking man out in broad daylight with white-ish eyes and green skin that's a bit textured with what looks to be triangles all over him that are different shades of green. It's curious that no one seems to notice him or his peculiar look. If I was standing beside this man and noticed him for the first time, I would, jump. Like do one of those. Which poses the question, is he just visible via camera and invisible in real life? That would be pretty nuts if that's the case. I did a lot of digging on this one and I haven't seen anyone debunk it yet, so I wonder about it. If this is real and there's aliens like him walking among us, then damn, we've been fooled. In our number 6 spot, we have the sports reptilian. Okay, your girl is not into sports much. I'm a fake Toronto Maple Leafs fan. I only watch them when they're winning, like the rest of Toronto though. All Torontonians do is complain about the Leafs until there's hope that they might do well. So it's not just me. Anyways, so my point is that I know nothing about sports, or even what sport this footage was taken at, or even who this guy being interviewed is. All I know is the guy behind him is most definitely a shape-shifting reptilian. No way around it. This footage is great and you can see his eyes as clear as day and you cannot convince me otherwise. This guy is definitely not human. He's just casually casually hanging out behind whomever is being interviewed, and every so often the camera gets a clear shot of his piercing blue eyes that also have a black slit within them. Some people believe that the reptiles are intentionally revealing themselves in footage like this. Honestly, that theory would make sense, because otherwise how could they let footage like this get out there? But anyways, this one is nuts. In our number 5 spot, we have Shakira. Pop star Shakira has been accused of being a shapeshifter reptilian. I mean, her voice is angelic and not very human-like, so it makes sense. I mean, her voice is angelic, so someone could argue that it's possibly not human-like. Video footage was taken of her speaking in an interview, and yep, you guessed it, her eyes changed very briefly. Now, it is honestly not the easiest to spot, as her eye color is quite dark, and possibly also the lighting of the video might have sucked too, but when the footage is slowed down and analyzed closely, it does appear that something is going on. Her eye definitely changes, but is it a full-on slit like so many on this list? It's hard to say. Are there any celebs left that are human? In our number 4 spot, we have 2 aliens walking down the street. I honestly don't know what to call this one other than 2 aliens walking down the street, because honestly, that's what it definitely seems like. Either they are aliens or they're people from some kind of Buffy the Vampire set, but apparently this footage is really random, and that's why people believe it to be real. Supposedly these 2 men weren't near any kind of set or anything, and that's what makes this more mysterious. The men appear to have very big and different looking ears, darkened eyes, and a bigger nose than most people. Honestly, now that I think about it, they look like they just stepped out of Halloween Town. Tell me you know that movie franchise. It's amazing. We're big on Halloween at my house. Anyways, honestly, movies have made me close-minded to the possibility of seeing someone like this in real life, so it's so hard for me to believe that this is real, but who knows? In our number 3 spot, we have glowing eye. Okay, this video makes me want to laugh, but honestly, I could also believe that there's something weird going on here. It appears that the footage was taken in some kind of cave, and the cave is somewhat dark in the distance, and all of a sudden you see 2 glowing orbs look out at the camera in the distance. Then it appears to give us a little bit more of itself, and it looks like it's a very weird shape, whatever it is. Is this a shapeshifter or Bigfoot or some other kind of weird thing our brains can't process? I don't know. Not gonna lie, it kind of looks like a giant frog. The round orb-like eyes would check out if it was a frog, and its arms kind of, resemble a frog's arms a bit. I don't know. I don't know why I did this. Do frogs stand like this? Maybe. All I know is this is definitely very strange footage, and that creature could be a shapeshifter. Or a giant frog. I don't know. In our number 2 spot, we have the Dr. Phil guest. For once, it's not a celebrity that revealed themselves as a shapeshifter, but this is an example of just a regular woman. In this footage, Dr. Phil is speaking to a guest, and all of a sudden the guest's eyes turn into slits. Imagine you were sitting on a live show and talking to someone, and all of a sudden you witness their eyes changing. Would you run and scream, or just continue on with the interview? I mean, I think inside I would be screaming like a baby, but on the outside I'd look as cool as a cucumber. In our number 1 spot, we have Hillary Clinton. I bet you were wondering if I would ever touch on Hillary Clinton. Well, now is the time. Okay, not gonna lie, there are so many conspiracy theories tied to her being a shapeshifter, reptilian, alien, you name it. But this footage in particular could be nothing, or it could be something. In this footage, it appears that when Hillary takes a drink of water, her chin gets abnormally bigger, and not in a natural way. It appears to enlarge and drop in a way that has people thinking that she might be some kind of reptile. The footage is interesting and strange, and I can see why people might be shocked by it, but I'm not sure I'm fully convinced with this one. Would love to know if you guys are though. Let me know in the comment section below.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the mysterious beam. Pretty recently, scientists explained that they captured a mysterious beam of energy that was coming from the star that is the closest known star to the Sun, Proxima Centauri. This star is small and low mass and is located around 4.2 light years away from us. The thing about this star is that it has one rocky exoplanet that is 17% larger than Earth in its habitable zone, which would make liquid water a possibility on the planet. This planet's habitability has been disputed throughout the years, but this signal could be a sign sign that it may be even more habitable than any of us know. Scientists explained that the signal shifted while it was being observed, which mimicked the shift caused by a movement of a planet. They're taking extra precautions to figure out what exactly caused this shift in case it was some sort of mundane source. It will, of course, take some time to figure out, but it's all very exciting.
In our number 9 spot, we have Satan. Well, duh, if there was going to be one demon on this list that we all know about, obviously it was going to be Satan himself. Satan was once a guardian cherub, but God found wickedness within him, or so is said in Ezekiel 28:12-15. Luke has also mentioned that Jesus saw Satan fall from heaven like a lightning bolt, and that is how he gained the name of fallen angel. Something that I didn't know until this video though is that apparently Satan does not rule over hell, but is punished and just imprisoned with the other souls in hell. That's interesting. From my understanding, Satan is the king and creator of demons, and these demons have influence and infiltrate society and cause sadness and havoc. So basically, we're living amongst many demons these days. Everywhere you look, everything you hear or read, there's some kind of messaging that hits an emotional chord that makes you feel understood. But then you'll hear something else that is a conflicting perspective, and you also feel understood from that. And the result is that you're left confused, and you feel pulled in many directions, and you will feel vulnerable, and that's when it will be easy to control you. Beware of the influential demons like Satan.
In our number 8 spot today, we have Uma Uma. Okay, so this is one piece of evidence that actually has scientists fighting over what is going on with it. So a few years ago, scientists all agreed that we had found an object that was flying through our solar system, and they called it Uma Uma, and it was widely agreed that it was an interstellar comet that had swung out from around another star. But upon closer examination, they realized that something was propelling it and causing it to accelerate, and this is when the debate started, because they just don't know why. Avi Loeb, who's a Harvard University astrophysicist, proposed the idea that rather than a comet, this could be an alien probe that is being pushed by a light sail, which is a very wide but extremely thin piece of material that accelerates by being pushed by solar radiation. Other scientists didn't agree with this and instead said that it's possible that hydrogen ice could have melted off of the object in a way that would mimic a rocket engine or something of that nature. But in August of last year, Avi wrote in a study that hydrogen ice is too easily heated and it would have melted off long before it reached our solar system. I guess we just have to wait it out while the scientists debate and gather more evidence to really know what's going on behind this one. In our number 7 spot today, we have the NASA Viking experiment. This is one of the more debated ones on today's list, but that does not mean it isn't evidence. In 1976, NASA's Viking landers tested the soil on Mars and found some chemicals that could be attributed to signs of life. The soil was mixed with radioactive carbon-labeled nutrients and then tested for the production of radioactive methane gas. The test ended up receiving a positive result, which could indicate that something in the soil is metabolizing the nutrients to produce the gas. Despite further efforts, there still hasn't been any life found, but one of the scientists who worked on this original project, and others as well, stand by what they found and argued that the technology at the time wasn't advanced enough to find the key evidence of life. Hopefully with the new Perseverance rover that landed recently, we'll be able to find the signs on Mars that we have been looking for. In our number 6 spot today, we have black holes. When we think of black holes, we usually think of how absolutely terrifying they are, but that may be changing. There has actually been the discovery of a planet that is floating around a black hole. The forces around the hole are also providing heat for the planet as well, but there is one catch, and that is the fact that the planet needs to orbit at the speed of light. This would mean that a second on that planet would be hours on ours, which is kind of difficult to comprehend. The planet would have to be in what is called the Goldilocks zone though, because if it's too far from the black hole, it'll be too cold and there won't be any liquid water, but if it's too close, it will of course be sucked into the black hole by the gravitational forces. It's definitely a pretty crazy idea, but it is possible that there could be some life in this situation. In our number 5 spot today, we have fossilized microbes. Another piece of controversial evidence that came from Mars was announced in 1996. NASA scientists announced that they had potentially found what appeared maybe fossilized microbes in a lump of Martian rock. It is likely that this rock came off during some sort of Mars collision and just casually floated around the solar system for 15 million years before landing in Antarctica in 1984. Just casual space stuff. After analyzing the rock, it was revealed that it contained organic molecules and small specks of mineral magnetite, which is sometimes found in the bacteria on Earth. And upon further analysis with an electron microscope, it was claimed that there were signs of nanobacteria. Since then, some claim that the magnetite wasn't that similar to those found in bacteria, and there is a belief that the signs of nanobacteria could have been grown in a lab. In our number 4 spot today, we have UFO footage. Remember last year when the Navy released footage of UFOs, but we were in a global pandemic, so we didn't really have time to freak out about it? Well, let's freak out about it now, because what the heck was captured on those videos? The US Navy released footage last year where they had captured video of some sort of wingless aircraft that was traveling at hypersonic speed. Of course, people are wary to believe that this is true signs of alien life and alien visitors, but the thing is, we simply just don't really know what this is. We know it's not something that is known to us yet, so this could definitely be a sign of some sort of alien life, and I guess we'll just have to wait and see. In our number 3 spot today, we have this bacterial experiment. So we've talked a bit on today's list about how we tend to think of life only being able to exist on other planets that are similar to ours with a similar atmosphere within a certain distance of a star, but we've also discussed how this more narrow thinking might not be the best scenario. On Earth, most living creatures require oxygen to live, but the problem with a lot of planets is that there's far more hydrogen and helium. Last year, scientists decided to take 2 different bacteria. One was E. coli, which can be found in the guts of humans, and ordinary yeast, which is used in things like bread and beer. With these 2 bacteria, they tried to see if they could live in different environments. When placed within flasks that contained either pure hydrogen or pure helium, they still managed to grow, just at a slower pace. This evidence goes to show that there might be living organisms that we haven't found yet because we are just looking in the wrong places. In our number 2 spot today, we have the fact that they might have died off. This one is a bit disappointing, to be honest, but it basically is just a theory that it's probably pretty likely that there were aliens at some point, but since the universe is so old, they might have already died out. All life and cultures rise and fall, and researchers put together a model last year that would give more insight into the likelihood of this theory. They took things into account like sun-like stars that are not too close or too far from planets that are similar to Earth, as well as how frequently there are deadly radiation blasting supernovas, which of course would prove to be a huge problem for life forms, as well as the time that it takes for intelligent life to evolve, provided all the conditions are right. And once the evolution has taken place, how long would it take for a tool-bearing form of life to then destroy itself? That's a lot of factors to consider, and through all of this, it was found that the highest likelihood of life before ours in the Milky Way emerged around 5.5 billion years ago, which would place that before our planet was even formed. This, of course, would have provided plenty of time for all of the events I just mentioned to have occurred. I hope this one isn't true, because I really do hope that there are aliens out there. In our number 1 spot today, we have Europa. One of Jupiter's moons, called Europa, has a red tinge to it, and in 2001, NASA scientists revealed that it's possible that alien microbes might be responsible for the red color. The surface of the moon is mostly ice, but it has been shown that it reflects infrared radiation in a bizarre way. This means that something is binding it together, but researchers haven't been able to come up with the correct combination of elements and compounds to make the data make sense. There are some bacteria on Earth that can thrive in extreme conditions and that also have a red and brown color, which could potentially be responsible for the color on this moon. The surface temperature might be too cold for them to survive, but the warmer interior might be where they are located. Some geological activity on the moon could then push them closer to the surface, where they are then flash frozen in place.
In our number 10 spot, we have the Queen of England. Okay, your girl is British, and being so, us Brits just have a soft spot for the Queen, but apparently the rest of the world doesn't, and everybody seemingly thinks she's a shapeshifter reptilian hybrid. So that was news to me. Not only just the Queen, but a lot of people speculate over the entire royal family being reptilian hybrids. The reason being due to some footage that surfaced online that showcased the Queen being dressed in one of her cute outfits. But then all of a sudden, they zoom in on her eye, and you see her eye looking completely creepy. Honestly, the footage is terrifying, and I've watched enough horror movies in my life to recognize a demon when I see one, and her eye looked just a tad bit demon-like. Apparently people have said that her eye was just bloodshot. But yeah, I don't know about that excuse. They really should have said that she had some kind of eye disease, because that I would believe. I've had a bloodshot, probably at least plus 10 times in my life, and I've seen bloodshot eyes several times, and never have I ever seen anything that looks like that. Her entire eye is bloody looking. Honestly, it's as if perhaps someone punched her in the eye, except there's no swelling. It's very strange. So anyways, I see why people think she's possibly a shapeshifter. In our number 9 spot, we have Timothy GEITHNER. Former secretary to the treasurer, Timothy GEITHNER, has been accused of being a shapeshifter. Why? Well, because there's some weird footage of him possibly doing just that. Footage was taken of him at a press conference sitting and listening to the speaker when all of a sudden something starts happening to his right eye. A weird pattern that honestly looks like a pattern that you would see on a butterfly wing starts to form around his eye, sort of cupping it. It seems that it happens for a few seconds before he realizes it and tries to cover it up by touching the area, and in an instant, it's gone. No one can deny that the footage is rather odd, especially as he touches the area and poof, it's magically gone. It is super possible that we have a butterfly shapeshifter on our hands. Imagine. If I could be a shapeshifter, that's what I would want to be. Something with wings. Probably a fairy. That would be great. In our number 8 spot, we have Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron is an actress and extremely talented singer, most notably known for her Disney Channel show Liv and Maddie and The Descendants. Her voice is angelic, and personally, I'm a big fan. But regardless of my feelings, people speculate that she is a shapeshifter, or that a shapeshifter has taken over her body. One or the other. There is some recent footage of her doing an interview on the red carpet, and in this interview she has a moment where it seems as if she shifts a little. When you zoom into her eyes, it appears as if for a second her eyes reveal her pupils suddenly turning into a slit, just for a second, before turning back. It's really quite fast, but if you slow down the footage and zoom in closely, you can see it clear as day. So perhaps she has something weird going on with her eye, or perhaps she's actually a shapeshifter. Probably the latter. In our number 7 spot, we have Beyonce. Many are very suspicious of Beyonce apparently, and I had no idea. Apparently she is one of the most suspicious of the Hollywood celebs that people are pretty certain is a shapeshifter reptile, and it's because of a few different shots of her that reveal some pretty wild things. Apparently in one shot you see Beyonce singing, and suddenly the side of her face almost looks scaly. In another shot, Beyonce is dancing on stage and whipping her hair around, and for a millisecond you can literally see her face transform into a demon. I'm not joking, it's terrifying. And it's probably real. It's hard to believe her heavenly voice is even human, so most likely she's from out of this world. What do you think? Leave a comment in the comment section below. In our number 6 spot, we have Antique Roadshow Reptile. In this video, captured on camera, it is a regular episode of the BBC show The Antiques Roadshow, when, in the background, the camera captured a man staring at the camera. His eyes appear pretty large, being opened quite wide, and if you zoom in, it looks as if his pupils have slits. His eyes resemble a snake's eyes, revealing that he is obviously a shapeshifter snake. He doesn't appear to be with anyone, just hanging in the background, smirking at what he's observing. It's crazy to see this on camera, but I wonder if anyone has actually seen this in person. My suspicious brain would props not even believe anyone, even if they did claim that they saw this in real life. I'd be like, show me that proof, or nothing. I'll just be sad. In our number 5 spot, we have the NBC shapeshifter. In 1995, there was reportedly an NBC News reporter by the name of Isaiah Carey who was in the middle of filming when he allegedly swallowed a grasshopper. What's eerie about this video is that if you zoom in, you can observe him having an abnormally large, somewhat pointy tongue, and the color is slightly green. The reporter had a very big reaction, which, I mean, if I swallowed a grasshopper, I would have screamed. Drama queen. But most people think that he turned away from the camera to hide his tongue, which does seem possible, but then again, no one wants to have something that gross documented on camera, so I would probably turn away too. Reptile or human? Probably reptile. In our number 4 spot, we have the Mexican schoolboy. In a video that was shared in September of 2018, there appears to be a boy and a girl, and a lot of chaos around them. Students leaving their seats and a lot of hustle and bustle when all of a sudden, the girl seems to turn into the boy, and the boy falls down and faints. She runs down the stairs, now as him, and then after 30 seconds on the ground, the boy, who's being approached by adults, he suddenly wakes up and begins to run at top speed away from the scene. Honestly, this one to me feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi show. I mean, at one part it does look like it's filmed on a phone, but for the most part it kind of gives me old Degrassi The Next Generation vibes, but maybe that's just me. Anyone else with me? But people say that it is real, and so all I have to say is that damn. Yep, that's all I've got. In our number 3 spot, we have the shape-shifting goat. In 2009, Nigerian police actually arrested a goat as apparently someone had shape-shifted into it. It was caught by vigilantes who were chasing 2 men who were trying to steal a Mazda car. They claimed that one of the 2 men escaped while the other used black magic to transform into a goat. Okay, this one wasn't caught on camera, but I thought you had to be told about this because I'm tripping out. Reportedly, the police said one of them escaped and the other turned into a goat. We cannot confirm the theory, but the goat is in our custody. This is the best one I've ever done. We cannot base our information on something mystical. It is something that has to be proved scientifically that a human being turned into a goat. Okay, so anyone else kinda hoping this story isn't true only because then the story is that a bunch of police arrested a goat? Honestly, I'm good with either story being true. In our number 2 spot, we have the alien security guard. In 2012, at the US-Israel Policy Conference, while President Obama was making a speech, there were cameras that were circulating around the area and they were shooting footage of the audience. From the front view, we see 2 security guards standing in the aisle. They look like, you know, they're most likely CIA agents. But then a camera shoots the security guards from behind, and one of them in particular does not look human from behind, as well as the camera catches him looking completely different than he does from the front. We see a bald man with no ears and a pointy chin. His nose looks short and rounded, and his eyes appear to be dark and quite sunken in. Most people think that because it was so dark and crowded that people would have missed this, and that the camera caught this shapeshifter in a blip of a moment in its true form. Many have concluded from this footage that the US is in cahoots with an alien race. And at this point, I'm pretty convinced too. What do you think? In our number 1 spot, we have the alleyway shifter. Okay, this clip is crazy. This is footage of a person that goes into an alleyway that is semi-lit and stands still. And then what appears to be a dark shadow leaves its body and walks away, and the person remains frozen. This clip is so controversial and has been a point of debate for some time now, but I'm not sure what you can even debate. You can clearly see someone or something leave the body and the body stays frozen in place. This clip is one of the most seemingly real clips out of everything I saw, but apparently all of the footage is real. Interesting. Very interesting indeed.